at the Sankat Mochan Hanuman Temple in Watsonville. Uh, Today is a very special day for me, and I'm very grateful to be here with all of you to share the reading as it goes today. So let's begin with a single Om. Let's get comfortably settled. Spine is erect. Let's take a breath in and exhale. Breathing in for Om. Om. Hearing the words of all, Prahasta, Ravana's son, said with joined palms, "Transgress not the bounds of propriety, my lord. Your counselors possess very little wit, and all your stupid ministers tell you only that which is pleasing to their master. But that way you cannot succeed, my lord. A stray monkey sprang across the ocean and came this side, and all the people still extol his doings in their heart of hearts. What, did none of you have any appetite then? Why did you not seize and devour him while he was burning your city? Your ministers have given you, my lord, an advice which, though pleasant to hear, will hand you in trouble afterwards. He who has had the sea bridged in mere sport and has crossed over the Savela hill with his army, tell me, is he an ordinary mortal whom you say you will devour? All these people are simply bragging, dear father. Listen to my words with great attention and do not account me a coward. These are multitudes of men in this world who are given to hearing and uttering pleasant words. Those men, however, who hear and utter words which are most salutary, yet jarring to the ear, are few and far between, my lord. Listen to my sound advice. First send an envoy to Sri Rama, and afterwards, when you have restored Janaka's daughter, make friends with him. If he withdraws on receiving back his consent, you should have no more quarrel with him. Otherwise, meet him face to face on the battlefield and give him a tough fight. If, my lord, you accept this advice of mine, your fair renown will spread throughout the world in either case." The 10-headed monster asked his son Prahasta in a fury, "Fool, who has taught you such wisdom? If you entertain doubt in your mind, for even now, my son, you have proved yourself to be a prickly plant at the root of a bamboo, which brings about the destruction of the bamboo." On hearing the harsh and most malignant remarks of his father, Prahasta left for home, uttering these bitter words. Words of good counsel fall flat on you, even as medicine proves ineffectual for a man who is doomed to die. Finding that it was evening now, the 10-headed monster turned towards his palace, fondly gazing on his 20 arms. On the highest level of Lanka stood a most wonderful hall, where music and dancing contests used to be held. Ravana went and took his seat in that hall, while kinnars, celestial songsters, began to sing his praises. Expert celestial nymphs commenced their dance to the accompaniment of skimbals, tabors, and lutes. He constantly revelled in luxuries 100 times as much as Indra could enjoy. He had a most powerful foe threatening at his door, yet he had no anxiety or fear. At the end of the hero of Raghu's line, encamped with his vast army on Mount Savela, observing a very lofty, supremely lovely, even remarkably shining peak, Lakshmana carefully spread on it with his own hands beautiful young leaves and blossoms of trees, which he covered with a charming and soft deerskin. It was on this seat that the gracious Lord rested himself. The Lord placed his head in the lap of Sugriva, the lord of the monkeys, with the bow and quiver to his left and right. He was passing both his lotus hands on an arrow, while the would-be king of Lanka, Vibhishana, whispered some secret in his ears. The blessed Angad and Hanuman kneaded his lotus feet in a diverse way. while behind the Lord sat Lakshmana in the pose of a warrior, with the quiver fastened at his waist and the bow and arrow ready in his hands. Thus rested Sri Rama, the embodiment of benignity, beauty, and goodness. Blessed are those men who remain ever immersed in the thought of the Lord as depicted here. Look towards the east, the Lord saw the moon risen above the horizon and said to them all, just look at the moon and see how undaunted like the king of beasts, the lion he appears. Dwelling in the eastern quarter, which may be compared to the mountain cave, this lion of a moon, an embodiment of supreme grandeur, glory, and strength, struts through the forest of the sky, having rent asunder the crown of a mad elephant in the form of darkness. The stars appear like so many pearls strewn all over the sky, which serve to adorn the lovely dame of night. Now tell me, brethren, said the Lord, what do you think of each of you? Of the dark spot in the moon, said Sugriva. Listen, O Lord of Raghus, it is only the shadow of the earth that is seen in the moon. The demon Rahu struck the moon, said another, and the spot is nothing but a scar left on the latter's bosom. A third suggested, when Brahma the creator fashioned the face of Rati, the consort of the god of love, he took out the essence of the moon, thus leaving a hole in the orb itself. The hole is itself visible in the heart of the moon, and though it can be seen in the shade of blue. The Lord said, poison is the moon's most beloved brother. That is why he has lodged it in his heart, and diffusing the envenomed rays torments parted lovers. Said Hanuman, listen, my lord, the moon is your own beloved servant, and it is your image enshrined in his heart that appears as a dark patch. The all-wise Sri Rama smiled to hear the words of Hanuman, the son of the wind god. Then looking towards the south, the all-merciful Lord spoke thus, Vibhishana, see how clouds are gathering fast and the lightning flashes in the southern quarter. A lowering cloud is gently rumbling, and I fear lest a severe hailstorm may ensue. Vibhishana replied, listen, my gracious lord, there is neither lightning nor a gathered mass of cloud. On the top of Lanka there stands a hall where Ravana is witnessing a music and dancing contest. It is a large royal umbrella spread over its head, which presents the appearance of a dark mass of cloud. The ornaments in the Queen Mandodari's ears, my lord, flash like lightning, while the incomparable music of the cymbals and the tabors in the sweet rumbling you hear. O King of Celestials, the Lord smiled to perceive Ravana's arrogance. He strung his bow and fitted his arrow to the string. With a single shaft, the Lord then struck Ravana's umbrella and crowns, as well as Mandodari's eardrops, which fell to the ground before the very eyes of all. But none could know the mystery. Having performed this startling feat, Sri Rama's shaft came back and dropped into his quiver. And everybody in Ravana's assembly was alarmed to see this great interruption in his revelry. There was no earthquake, nor any strong gust of wind, nor did they see any weapon or missile. All, however, pondered within themselves that it was a most alarming ill omen. When the 10-headed monster saw that the assembly had taken fright, he laughed and made the following ingenious remarks. How can the mere dropping down of crowns be an ill omen to him in whose case even the falling of heads proved a lasting boon? Therefore, return each to your own home and retire. Accordingly, all bowed their heads and returned home. But anxiety lodged in Mandodari's heart, ever since her earrings dropped on the ground. With eyes full of tears and joining both her palms, she said, O my Lord of life, listen to my prayer. My beloved, cease hostility with Sri Rama, and have no more of obstinacy in your heart, taking him to be a mere mortal. Believe my word that Sri Rama, the jewel of Raghu's race, himself is manifested in the form of this universe, and that the Vedas conceive of every limb of his as a distinct sphere. The subterranean regions Patala are his feet, and the abode of Brahma his head, while the other intermediate spheres are located in his other limbs. Terrible death is the mere contraction of his eyebrows. The sun is his eye, and the mass of clouds his locks. The twin-born gods, Ashwin Kumaras, the celestial physicians, are his nostrils, and the alternating days and nights constitute the repeated twinkling of his eyelids. While the 10 quarters of the heavens are his ears, so declare the Vedas. The winds are his breath, and the Vedas his own speech. Greed is his lower lip, and Yama, the god who sits in the judgment on the dead, his dreadful teeth. Maya, the cosmic illusion, is his laughter, and the regions of the 10 quarters his arms. Fire is his mouth, and Varuna, the god presiding over the waters, his tongue, while the creation, preservation, and destruction of the universe are his gestures. The 18 principal species of the vegetable kingdom constitute the line of hair on his belly. The mountains are his bones, and the rivers represent the network of his veins. The ocean is his belly, and the inferno. His organs of urination and excretion, in short. The universe is a manifestation of the Lord, and it is no use going into further details. Lord Shiva is his ego, Brahma is his reason, the moon his mind, and the great Vishnu his faculty of understanding. It is the same Lord Sri Rama, manifested in the form of the animate and the inanimate creation, who has assumed a human semblance. Pondering thus, hear me, O Lord of my life, cease hostility with the Lord, and cultivate devotion to the feet of Sri Rama, so that my good luck may not desert me. They have a footnote here. Good luck in the eyes of a Hindu lady consists in the longevity of her husband, and the widowhood is considered the greatest curse. I thought that might be worth knowing. Ravana laughed when he heard the words of his wife. Oh, how mighty is the power of infatuation! They rightly observe in regard to the character of a woman that is following 8 demerits ever abide in her heart. Recklessness, mendacity, fickleness, deceit, timidity, indiscretion, impurity, and callousness. You have described the enemy's cosmic form, and thus told me a most alarming story. But all that, whatever is comprised in that human cosmic form, my beloved, is naturally under my control. It is by your grace that this has become clear to me now. I have come to know your ingenuity, my dear, for in this way you have told me my greatness. Your words, O fawn-eyed lady, are profound. They afford delight when understood and dispel fear when heard. Mandodari was now convinced at heart that her husband's impending death had deluded him. When Ravana was laughing and joking in diverse ways, as mentioned above, the day broke, and the king of Lanka, who was intrepid by nature and further blinded by pride, entered the court. The reed neither blossoms nor bears fruit, even though the clouds rain nectar on it. Similarly, the light of wisdom would never dawn on a fool, even though he may have a teacher like Brahma. At the end of the Lord of Raghu's, at this end, the Lord of Raghu's woke at daybreak, and summoning all his counselors, asked their opinion. Tell me quickly, what course should be adopted? Jambavan bowed his head at the Lord's feet and said, Listen, omniscient Lord, indweller of hearts, storehouse of wisdom, strength, glory, piety, and offer advice to you, according to my own lights. It is that Bali's son, Prince Angad, may be sent as an envoy to Ravana. The good counsel commended itself to all, and the all-merciful turned to Angad and said, O son of Bali, repository of wisdom, strength, and goodness, go to Lanka, dear one, for my cause. I need not give you any elaborate instructions. I know you are supremely clever. You should talk with the enemy in such words as they may advance my cause and serve his interest at the same time. Bowing to the Lord's command and adoring his feet, Angad rose and said, "He alone is an ocean of virtues on whom you shower your grace. O divine Rama, all the objects of my Lord are self-accomplished," he thought. "He has only honored me by charging me this task." And the thought thrilled his body and delighted his heart. Adoring the Lord's feet and keeping his glory in his heart, Angad bowed his head to all and departed. The gallant son of Vali, who was an adept in warfare, was dauntless by nature, cherishing as he did the might of the Lord. As soon as he entered the city, he met one of Ravana's son, Prahasta by name, who was playing there. For words they proceeded to fight, for both were unrivaled in strength, and in the prime of youth to boot. He raised his foot to kick Angad, who was in turn seized the foot and swinging him around, dashed him to the ground. Finding him a formidable warrior, the demons ran helter-skelter in large numbers, too much frightened to raise an alarm. They did not tell one another what had happened, but kept quiet when they thought at the death of the Ravana's son. There was a cry in the whole city that the same monkey who had burnt down Lanka had come again. Who knows what turn Providence is going to take, everyone thought in excessive dismay. People showed him the way and asked. If he but looked at anyone, the latter would turn deadly pale. With his thoughts fixed on the lotus feet of Sri Rama, he then reached the gate of Ravana's council chamber. And there, the stout-headed and mighty hero stood with the men of lion, glancing this side and that. He forthwith sent a demon and apprised Ravana of his arrival. On hearing the news, the 10-headed monster laughed and said, "Go usher him in my presence and let me see where the monkey has come from." Receiving his order, a host of messengers ran and fetched the monkey chief. Angad saw the 10-headed giant seated in his throne like a living mountain of collyrium. His arms looked like trees and heads like peaks, while the hair on his body presented the appearance of numerous creepers. His mouth, his nostrils, eyes, and ears were as big as mountain caves and chasms. With an unflinching mind, he entered the court. The valiant son of Vali, possessed of great might. The assembly abruptly rose at the sight of the monkey. At this, Ravan's heart was filled with great fury. Thinking of Sri Rama's might, Angada bowed his head and took his seat in the assembly, as fearlessly as the lion treads in the midst of mad elephants. "Monkey, who are you?" Ravana said. "I am an ambassador from the hero of Raghu's line, Ravana. There was friendship between you and my father. Hence it is in your interest, brother, that I have come. O of noble descent and a grandson of the sage Pulastya, one of the mind-born sons of Brahma, you worship Lord Shiva and Brahma in various ways, obtain boons from them, accomplished all your objectives, and conquered the guardians of the different spheres as well as all the earthly sovereigns. Under the influence of kingly pride or infatuation, you carried off Sita, the mother of the universe. But even now you listen to my friendly advice, and the Lord will forgive all your offenses. Put a straw between the rows of your teeth and an axe by your throat, and take all the people, including your wives, with you, respectfully placing Janaka's daughter at the head. In this way, repair to him, shedding all fear, and address him thus: O protector of the suppliant, O jewel of Raghu's race, save me now. The moment he hears your piteous cry, the Lord will surely rid you of every fear. Mind what you speak, you little monkey. Fool, are you not aware of my being an avowed enemy of the gods? Tell me, young fellow, your own name as well as your father's. What is the common ground on which you claim fellowship between your father and myself? Angad is my name. I am Vali's son. Did you ever meet him? Ravana felt uncomfortable when he heard Angad's reply. Yes, I do remember that there was a monkey, Vali by name. But Angada, are you Vali's son? You have been born as a fire which stands for a cluster of bamboos for the destruction of your own race. Why should you not have perished even in the womb? In vain were you born. You have called yourself with your own mouth a hermit's envoy. Now tell me if all is well with Vali, and if so, where is he? Angada laughed at this and then replied, 10 days hence you shall go to Vali, embracing your friend personally, inquire after his welfare. He will tell you all about the welfare that follows from hostility with Sri Rama. Listen, O fool, the seeds of dissension can be sown in the mind of him alone, whose heart is close to the hero of Raghu's line. I forsooth an exterminator of my race, while you, Ravana, are the preserver of yours. Even the blind and the deaf would not say so, whereas you possess a score of eyes and an equal number of ears. What did I bring dishonor on my family by acting as his ambassador, whose feet even Shiva, Brahma, and all the gods and sages desire to adore? It is strange that your heart does not burst asunder even on entertaining such an idea. When he heard the monkey's sharp rejoinder, Ravana glowered at him and said, Wretch, I put up with your harsh words only because I know the bounds of decorum and righteousness. Said the monkey, I too have heard of your piety, which is evident from the fact that you stole away another's wife. And I have witnessed with my own eyes the protection you vouchsafe to an envoy. An upholder of piety, why do you not drown yourself and thus end your life? When you saw your sister with the ears and nose cut off, it was from considerations of piety that you forgave the wrong. Your piety is famed throughout the world. I too am very fortunate in having been able to see you. Prate no more, you stupid creature, but look at my arms, O foolish monkey, that are like so many rahus to eclipse the tremendous moon-like might of the guardians of the spheres. Again, you might have heard that, while resting on my lotus-like palms in the lake of the heavens, Mount Kailasha with Shambhu, Lord Shiva, shone like a swan. Listen, Angad, tell me which warrior in your army will dare encounter me. Your master, Rama, has grown weak due to the separation from his wife, while his younger brother, Lakshmana, shares his grief and is consequently very sad. You and Sugriva are like the trees on the river bank, which can be washed away any moment. As for my younger brother Vibhishana, he is a great coward. Your counselor Jambavan is too advanced in age to take his stand on the field of battle, while Nala and Nila are mere architects and not warriors. There is one monkey, no doubt, of extraordinary might, he who came before and set fire to the city. On hearing this, Vali's son replied, Tell me the truth, O demon king. Is it a fact that a monkey burnt down your capital? A puny monkey set on fire Ravana's capital? He who on hearing such a report would say it is true? Ravana, he whom you have extolled as a distinguished warrior, is only one of Sugriva's petty runners. He who walks long distances is no champion. We sent him only to get news. It seems true that the monkey set fire to your capital without receiving an order from his master. That is why he did not go back to Sugriva and remained in hiding for fear. All that you say, Ravana, is true, and I am not in the least angry at hearing it. There is none in our army who would fight you with any amount of grace. Make friends or enter into hostilities with your equals. This is a sound maxim to follow. If a lion were to kill frogs, will anyone speak of him? Will anyone speak well of him? Though it would be derogatory on the part of Sri Rama to kill you, and he will incur great blame thereby, yet mark me, Ravana, the fury of the Kshatriya race is hard to face. The monkey, Angad, burnt the enemy's heart with the shafts of speech shot from the bow of his sarcasm, and the 10-headed hero proceeded to extract the arrows so as to speak with the pair of pincers in the form of rejoinders. He laughed and said, "A monkey possesses one great virtue. It does everything in its power to serve who maintains him." Bravo for a monkey who dances unabashed in the service of its master, anywhere and everywhere. Dancing and skipping about to amuse the people, it serves the interest of its master. This shows its keen devotion to the duty. Angad, all your race are devoted to the Lord. How could you then fail to extol the virtues of your master in the way you have done? I am a respecter of merit, and too magnanimous to pay any attention to your scrupulously glib talk. Said Angad, the son of the wind god, who gave me a true account of your partiality to merit. He laid waste your garden and killed your son and set fire to the city, and yet in your eyes he did you no wrong. Remembering such amiability of your disposition, I have been so insolent in my behavior with you. O Ravana, on coming here I have witnessed all that Hanuman told me. That is, that you have no shame, no anger, and no feeling of resentment. It is because you possess such a mentality that you have proved to be the death of your own father. Uttering these words, Ravana burst into laughter. Having been the death of my father, I would have next claimed you as my victim. But a thought has come to me just now. Knowing you to be the living memorial of Vali's unsullied fame, I desist from killing you, O vile boaster. Tell me, Ravana, how many Ravanas are there in the world? Or hear from me how many I have heard of. One went to the netherworld, Patala, to conquer Bali, and was tied up in the stables by the children, who made sport of him and thrashed him till Bali took pity on him and had him released. Another again was discovered by King Sahasrabhanu, who ran and captured him as a strange creature and brought him home for the sake of fun. The sage Pulastya then went and secured his release. Listen, O fool, I am the same mighty Ravana, the sport of whose arms is familiar to Lord Kailasha, the peak sacred to Lord Shiva, and whose valor is known to Uma's spouse, Shiva himself, in whose worship I offered my head as flowers. Times without number have I removed my lotus-like heads with my own hands to worship Lord Shiva, the slayer of Tripura. The prowess of my arms is well known to the guardians of the 8 quarters, whose heart, you fool, still smarts under the injuries inflicted by them. The toughness of my chest is familiar to the elephants supporting the 8 quarters, whose fierce tusks, wherever I impetuously grabbed them, failed to make an impression on it and snapped off like radishes the moment they struck against it. Even as I walk, the earth shakes like a small boat when a mad elephant steps on it. I am the same Ravana, known for his might all over the world. Did you never hear of him, you lying prattler? On hearing this, Angad indignantly replied, Take care what you say, you vainglorious wretch. How can he be accounted a man, you wretched Ravana, at whose very sight melted away the pride of Parshurama, the same Parshurama whose axe was like the fire to consume King Sahasrabhanu's boundless forest of arms, or, to use another simile, like the sea in whose swift tide have drowned innumerable kings time after time. How can Sri Rama be a mortal, you arrogant fool? Is the god of love a mere archer, the Ganga a mere stream, the cow of plenty a mere beast, the tree of paradise a mere tree, the gift of food an ordinary gift, nectar an ordinary drink, Garuda, the mount of God Vishnu, a mere bird, the 1,000-headed Sresha, a mere serpent, and the wish-yielding gem, a mere stone? O 10-headed monster, listen, O dullard. Is Vaikuntha an ordinary sphere, an unflinching devotion to the Lord of Raghu's an ordinary gain? What is Hanuman, O fool, any ordinary monkey who got off unhurt after trampling your pride as well as that of your army, laying waste your garden, setting your capital on fire, and slaying your own son? Listen, Ravana, giving up all hypocrisy. Why do you not adore the all-merciful Lord of Raghus? O wretch, if you pit yourself against Rama, even Brahma, the creator, the Rudra, Lord Shiva, cannot save you. Fool, brag not in vain if you contend with Rama, which will be your fate. Struck with Sri Rama's arrows, your many heads will fall to the ground in front of the monkeys and the bears, and the monkeys will play with those heads as they do with so many balls. When the Lord of Raghus gets enraged in battle and his many fierce arrows dart, will you then be able to bounce like this? Realize this, adore the high-souled Sri Rama. On hearing the words, Ravana flared up like a blazing fire on which clarified butter had been thrown. I have a brother like Kumkaran, one having big ears as big as the pair of jars, and the renowned Meghnad, the vanquisher of Indra, for my son. And you have never heard of my own valor, which I have conquered the entire creation, both animate and inanimate? Fool, with the help of monkeys, your master has bridged the ocean. Is this what you call valor? There are many birds which fly across the ocean. Yet listen, O monkey, they are no heroes. Now, each of my arms is a veritable ocean, brimming over with a flood of strength, beneath which many a valiant god and man has been drowned. What hero is there? Who will cross the 20 unfathomable boundless oceans? I made the guardians of the 8 quarters do menial service to me, while you, O wretch, glorify an earthly prince before me. If your Lord, whose virtues you recount again and again, is valiant in battle, why does he send an ambassador to me? Is he not ashamed to make terms with his enemy? Look at my arms, which lifted and violently shook Mount Kailasha, and then foolish monkey, extol your master if you like. Looks like this interesting conversation between Angad and Ravana comes to an end here, for us today at least. We will begin again next week. Let's take a couple of minutes to absorb what we've learned, and then we'll call it an evening, and we'll start with Aarti in a bit.